way, sir.
Sorry.
You've got to have a license to do everything. You've got to have a license.
Carlos?
Check.
What about my free speech?
What about the freedom to talk about how there's no free speech in this country?
What about my show? What about the women? What about the feminists? What about the kids?
What about our poetry? What about community affairs programs? What about local news?
What about my
Where's public interest?
Who's saying that? Who's saying that?
What about public interest?
I built a transmitter. I built a radio transmitter, and now they're using it in San Marcos, Texas, and they're broadcasting. They're broadcasting in San Marcos. It's called Kind Radio. You haven't got it yet. What about town meetings?
I'm out of gags.
What about educating the people? Free expression, free communication, free community radio. Steal this radio. Free community radio.
The next thing is that these gags started to tell the system.
My name is Sister Sheba. Especially welcome those members of the press that came
If you do not have a press packet, raise your hand so Christy can see you. We're going to be speaking about our demands for the right to speak freely. After all of the speakers are done, we're going to switch on our transmitter. After that, you're welcome to have questions. Our first speaker is Greg Ruggiero.
Tell them to tune the radios to 88.7. All right.
Tune your radios to 88.7 to get the reception. Thank you, Sister Shiva. Good afternoon, New York. We're here today to let the world know that free speech is threatened in America and that thousands of people across the country are working together in a growing movement to secure public access to the airwaves.
That's right.
We are micro-broadcasters, and we represent the hundreds of community stations that use the airwaves the way that they're meant to be used. Not for business or for advertising, but for free speech and for democracy.
Yeah.
Like a town square or a public park, the radio spectrum is meant to be a public forum. Part of the FCC's purpose is to protect this priceless forum and only license news stations that, quote, serve public convenience, interest, or necessity.
All
Instead, we have an FCC that licenses corporations that serve private interest, profit, and commercialism.
Carlos Cedar.
The trouble began in 1978 when the FCC stopped issuing licenses to radio stations that wished to broadcast on a community level under 100 watts. To obey this rule, a news station must spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to get started, an impossible task for most people and civic groups. Worse still, with the passage of the Telecommunications Reform Act, many forms of media are concentrating into the hands of fewer and fewer corporations.
That's right.
Until now, it seems like the FCC only answers to corporations. We're here today to make the FCC answer to the Constitution.
All right.
It's simple. To have democracy, we must have access to the airwaves. We must have non-business spaces where small community groups can exchange ideas, discuss, debate, inform, educate, experiment, speak in our native languages, and share who we are, not because we want profit, but because we love to communicate, because our Constitution guarantees us free speech in public forums.
Yeah.
Thus, we are here to remind the world that there are still some spaces in our society that have not and will not be conquered by big business.
Yeah.
We are citizens, we are not consumers, we're a movement, we're not a market. And as a movement, we're here to remind America that it is your constitutional right to access the airwaves in the community where you live.
Yeah.
For more than 2 years, Steal This Radio, a small 20-watt station, served the community on the Lower East Side with a vital public forum. That is, until the FCC came and threatened the station with a raid. 2 days after the visit, STR went off the air to come up with a plan of action. And we're here today to announce a 3-point plan. Number 1, free speech. The group of micropower radio DJs, listeners, and supporters, along with Steal This Radio, this morning filed a suit against the FCC for violations of the U.S. Constitution.
All right.
Including prohibiting free speech in a public forum. Number 2, like Radio Mutiny in Philadelphia, who vowed to create 10 new stations for every one that the FCC shuts down, we are going to continue to assist other community groups to start new stations.
That's right.
All right.
Yes, yes.
And number 3, like Rosa Parks, who didn't wait for the law for her to sit in the front of the bus, at 12:30 today, Steal This Radio will flip our transmitter back on.
Yeah.
Our goal? To win back constitutional protection for community groups to broadcast under 100 watts. The case is clear. It's free speech versus the FCC. And if the Constitution is still more powerful than corporations, free speech, steal this radio, and micro-power broadcasters across this country will win. Free the airwaves, power from the people.
All right.
Thank you, Greg. Our next speaker is Pirate Jenny. No, it's Pirate Jenny.
All righty. Let me see if I can.
All right.
Am I okay? Hello. My name is Pirate Jenny, and I'm proud to be a broadcaster on community radio. I do. Probably the only regular feminist show in the New York City area. Now you might say, oh, I see feminists in the media. Well, you will see the occasional interview with the president of the National Organization for Women or another elected official if some women's issue hits the news. But I interview the woman in the street in depth and without commercial interruption. All right.
All right.
All right. I get to the grassroots of why there was a women's movement in the first place. Women get on my show and they tell their stories in their own voices. They talk about what it's like to struggle as a single mother in this society. They talk about wanting to have a good sex life. They talk about wanting to have a good work life.
Yeah.
We get back to the roots of feminism. Many, many women have told their stories on my show and raised their voices on my show who would never have a chance in the major media. And I myself would never have a chance to do this kind of show where I can let my imagination roam freely into all the areas I'm interested in, except on pirate radio. Now.
Yeah. Keeping the mic. Yeah.
Okay. And I'm one of many, many broadcasters talking to their communities in words and in music. Now, as we know, the media in this country is owned by a tiny handful of corporations, and the FC licensing scheme, which makes it mandatory to lay down like $100,000 to get a license, aids and abets this situation. The FCC is saying at this point that they want more diversity in the future. They want more flexibility. Maybe they will consider licensing smaller stations. But there is nothing in what they're saying that indicates that licensing fees would ever come down to the level where regular working people could afford them, could get on the media and could have some control over the media. In the meantime, what the FCC is doing is they are seizing our radio stations. They are shutting down as many as they can. They held recently in Tampa, Florida, they held broadcasters at automatic rifle point while they destroyed their equipment. They also are levying huge fines, like $20,000 that nobody could afford. They're doing everything they can to shut us up. As a woman, I know what it's like to run into some bully who doesn't like you to express yourself. He gets in your face and he says, you shut up or you're gonna get hurt. I say the FCC is acting like that kind of bully to all the micro broadcasters in this country.
Yeah.
But we will not shut up because we perform a vital function that's not filled by any other media source. There are hundreds of stations that are springing up all across this country, and they continue to spring up. We are a movement whose time has come. Woo!
Yeah.
We will not be silenced. And that's why at 12:30, we're turning on the switch, and we're going back on the air, and we're taking you to the courts and to the streets wherever necessary. Thank you.
Yeah.
Make it lower for me.
Our next speaker is Sharon. Sharon, come on down.
We are here to celebrate the strength and endurance of community organized radio with the reassertion of Steal This Radio. representing the diverse voices of the peoples of the Lower East Side, and to announce that our attorney, Robert Perry, has this morning filed a lawsuit against Janet Reno in her capacity as Attorney General, the Justice Department, and the FCC, challenging their licensing system for radio broadcasting on First Amendment grounds. The FCC, with the backing of Congress, has tried to silence the diversity of opinions and knowledges by securing the airwaves for a few large corporations whose sole interests are to turn profits. As the founders of this country realized, democracy can only work when there is free and open debate, unrestricted town meetings, and open public forums.
That's right.
Today, most of the debates that form public opinion take place in electronic media like radio. Today, our democratic system is in danger because we rely so heavily upon privately owned, self-interested, corporate-controlled media for our news and information. These machines produce our culture and public policy through the glorification of a myopic consumerist value system that the FCC practically mandates through its exclusionary policies.
That's right.
Is it surprising then to find that the public is becoming more apathetic and increasingly less involved in the democratic process? Clearly, the American people are frustrated with and disempowered by what passes for the news and for public debate. Steal This Radio is part of an organic movement of micro-broadcasters that is committed to reinvigorating the democratic process by informing and educating its listeners and providing a forum for the diversity of opinions and cultures of its communities. We do not engage in sound bites or support the cult of expertise, which is manifest in the artificially authoritative voices of commercial broadcasters. We provide a forum in which issues are placed within a larger context and debated and thought through by people committed to the survival of their communities and the principle of cooperation and not competition. Steal This Radio provides a platform for voices that are seldom, if ever, heard. We demystify the process of gathering information by deprofessionalizing radio and inviting members of the community to learn broadcasting skills. And we provide an outlet for artistic and cultural expression. Steal This Radio represents one out of over 1,000 micropower radio stations across the country engaged in the act of electronic civil disobedience, openly challenging the authority of the FCC to regulate the range of expression over the airwaves. We are building bridges among people in our community and between communities that share in our vision of a more local and self-regulating basis for society. FCC Chair William Kennard claims that pirate radio puts, as he states, at stake the smooth functioning of a decades-old broadcasting system. End quote.
Yeah, right?
That's right, Mr. Kennard. That is exactly what is at stake. A decades-old broadcasting system that has unscrupulously hijacked the airwaves to increase the wealth of those who are already in power. We are going to fight your power with the power of the people. No more business as usual. Things are about to change. Viva STR!
Well, mine, Sharon. Now I'm going to speak because one of our other DJs couldn't be here today because he's sick. And my name is Sister Sheba. I host a show called Uhuru's Voices. Uhuru means freedom. So let's break it down to the real. We're out here today because we are demanding the protections of the United States Constitution. Let's be real. I know they didn't write the Constitution for me, but I demand the protection of it as a 14th Amendment citizen of the United States. I also know that during slavery, my ancestors were forbidden to communicate with each other unless it served the slave master. Well, hey, slavery is over. I refuse to speak in secret. Now, New York City has a population of over 7 million people. It is the largest media market in the world. There is one black radio corporation in this whole town. It has 2 stations. Spanish language and non-English speaking stations are in a similar situation. That is, they're getting pushed underground, where we're underground already. And we're making our own emancipation proclamation today. Everyone who has been disenfranchised by Rupert Murdoch, Time Warner, and Mickey Mouse says, guess what? At 12:30, we're taking our power back. When I was a little girl, we used to make a joke that said, if these people, and I'm talking about y'all, Wall Street, all you suits, if you could sell the air, you would. Well, you thought you found a way to do it, but I'm here to tell you, the air belongs to all God's creatures, and we will use it. Right. One mind, all power to the people. Our next speaker is DJ Chrome.
All right. Yeah, thank you, Sister Sheba. Thanks to all the speakers here today, and thank you to STR for allowing me the opportunity to speak. First of all, today, I want to remind people that Still This Radio is part of a nationwide movement for free speech on the airwaves. It's a decentralized movement that's led by hundreds of people all around this country that are fed up, shut out, and pushed away by the mainstream media. This is a movement that's led by people of all backgrounds, all races, all economic classes, and both genders that, rather than complaining about the state of corporate media, decided to do something about it. Yeah. And this, my friends, is what democracy is all about. This is a movement that's at the forefront of challenging the FCC and their exclusionary regulatory schemes. It's a movement that's at the forefront of challenging corporations and their ability to provide a meaningful public service to the people of this country. And this is a movement that's at the forefront of questioning the idea of a free and democratic media in an age of corporate control. After all, how can you have free speech in an environment where it costs hundreds of thousands of dollars to speak?
That's right, exactly. That's right. It's an illusion.
So the micro-broadcast movement has risen from the grassroots of this country to fight for everyone's right, not only to listen, but to speak.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
This is a movement that's organized. Micro-broadcasters around the country are in constant contact through correspondence, newsletters, websites. We hold regional and national conventions so to better support and strengthen this movement. Yeah. And on this day, as Still This Radio launches its historic lawsuit and returns to the airwaves, 3 other stations that have been recently harassed by the FCC will once again turn on their transmitters in an act of micro-broadcasting solidarity. That's right, 4 stations are going back up today, folks. Yeah. And speaking of solidarity, I was talking on the phone yesterday to a reporter, and she asked me if we had any way of knowing just how many people listen to Still This Radio. I had to explain to her that in the 5-week period that Still This Radio was off the air, we've received almost 1,000 letters of support. Yeah. All right? We've also received endorsements from almost every community organization in the Lower East Side, as well as many citywide organizations. And this is why we at Still This Radio are willing and determined to stand up to the FCC and their gun-toting thugs and continue offering this essential service to this community. So now's the time that we stand up in the tradition of Thomas Paine and Rosa Parks and everyone else who struggled against the establishment to secure our civil liberties in this country and put our station back on the air. You guys ready for this? We're gonna have a little countdown. I want everybody to count down with me, okay? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go! Yeah! We're on! Woo!
Back on the air!
All right.
All right, I want to get Robert Perry down here. He's our attorney. Robert, come on over to the mic. As I said when we started, we're going to do a question and answer period. If you have any questions, raise your hand. No questions?
Well, they want me to ask questions?
No, answer
We
questions.
just want you to be here. That's
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
So you filed it this morning?
Yeah, we filed it right now. It's been filed.
What other stations are going back on the air, Arrow? Being asked.
Okay, the question was, what are the other stations that are going back on the air? DJ Chrome will answer that.
Yeah, today as we speak, as I said, it's a day of solidarity for microbroadcasting in the United States. 87X in Tampa, Florida, back on the air. Radio Free Iowa in Iowa City, back on the air.
Free Radio Alston.
Free Radio Alston in Boston, Massachusetts, back on the air.
Yes!
And right here in New York City, Steal This Radio, back on the air.
Any other questions? Okay,
Also, Radio Bob in Milwaukee.
okay, so Radio Bob in Milwaukee was the other question. You can go ahead and speak it to the mic.
What are the main points of your brief, and have you filed?
We have
you
filed.
need to file so
Let
that
me
we're
repeat the question because they can hear.
Let's hear the brief makes its way through the court.
Okay, the question was, what are the main points of the brief, and what else?
And whatever you did, a stay or something, so they can continue broadcasting.
And are we getting a stay so that we can legally continue broadcasting while the suit is in process?
We have filed the complaint within the last 20 minutes. My co-counsel with the Center for Constitutional Rights has filed the complaint. We will shortly move for a stay, a temporary restraining order, and a preliminary injunction. The theories of the case are premised on the fact that the broadcast spectrum is a public forum, just like city parks, city streets. And everybody has a right to speak in that public forum, subject, of course, to reasonable time, place, and manner regulations. The current broadcast licensing scheme is not a reasonable time, place, and manner regulation. It excludes small speakers. There's no reason for a licensing requirement for small speakers, for micro broadcasters. There are other ways to prevent radio interference than requiring them to pay $100,000 to secure licenses. We're also challenging the licensing scheme insofar as it gives the FCC, the licensing authority, unbridled discretion to pick and choose which speaker can have a license to broadcast in that public forum. We're also challenging the enforcement scheme by which the FCC goes around and shuts down micro radio stations through so-called in rem actions, confiscating their expressive materials and instrumentalities, including broadcasting equipment, without affording them an opportunity to assert their First Amendment defenses prior to the confiscation. And we're also challenging the FCC's prosecution of Steal This Radio on the grounds that it is selectively based on unlawful viewpoint discrimination. For 2.5 years, STR, Steal This Radio, broadcast without any contact from the FCC on the Lower East Side, causing no interference problems with any other radio stations. Then after this well-publicized conference and workshops a few months ago on micro radio stations, suddenly an FCC official shows up and claims that Steal This Radio has interfered with the signal of a college radio station on Long Island, based in Hempstead, Long Island, whose primary and secondary coverage areas don't even reach the Lower East Side. And only for that reason, we contend, only because of this radio conference promotion, their advocacy of micro radio, did the FCC come after Steal This Radio. Yeah. Those are the theories.
I didn't mean to disrespect you, but...
No, I don't know.
Thank you, Robert. Are there any other questions? Yeah. Okay, our permit is going to run out shortly. Okay. The question is, if we had a lot of micro radio, how will we prevent ourselves from interfering with one another? You want to take that, DJ Crone?
Sure. As I mentioned earlier, micro broadcasters are organized and in communication. We have conventions and we have general agreements among micro broadcasters to not interfere with anything. This includes airline control, and this includes other corporate stations, and this also includes other micro broadcast stations. We're responsible people that are using the airwaves for speech. Therefore, we're not trying to step on anyone else's rights to speak on the airwave. We have a general agreement of non-interference among micro broadcasters in this national movement. And I also wanted to take an opportunity to show people some of our letters of support. And these are all signed and addressed and everything like that, all right?
How much money did it cost you to put this radio station on the air?
Okay.
And if the FCC takes your equipment, will you put it together and go back on the air again?
Okay, the gentleman's question was, how much money did it cost us to go on the air, and if the FCC takes our equipment, will we still go back on the air?
If the FCC takes our equipment tonight, Steal This Radio will be back on the air with new equipment tomorrow. It would cost about $500 to get the transmitting equipment necessary to set up a 20-watt community station, about $500.
How much? The question is, how much are our legal fees?
We don't know yet. We don't know yet.
How much does it cost to run a revolution?
Pro bono. If we win, we get attorney's fees.
Okay, and we're talking about micro power, people. What? The question is that the FCC chairman has said that he's willing to work with us. Do we want a license or do we want the rules changed? Who wants to take that?
I'd like to answer one part of that in regards to how the FCC wants to work with us. Radio Mutiny in Philadelphia recently organized the first East Coast Pirate Radio Conference. And the FCC contacted us and wanted to participate. However, they chose not to send their policy person. They chose to send their head of enforcement, their head cop. So what kind of a dialogue do they want about changing the rules if they don't send a policy person? They sent their enforcement person, and they very much stonewalled us. So on the one hand, we have rhetoric about being interested in communities, opening up to minority ownership, but in practice, when we were there to start issuing proposals and having dialogue, they sent a cop to tell us that they would aggressively continue to pursue their policy, which is a quarter-watt license. And with a quarter-watt, you can broadcast no more than 200 feet.
Yeah, I would like to also take a crack at this. Yeah, I want to add to that. I was there when that FCC chief enforcer spoke. He used phrases like, he said the FCC is interested in opening up niche community markets, which is total corporate speak and does not inspire confidence. Also, they never said anything about the licensing fees, and that's the key question. So at this point, they're asking us to shut down, but they're not offering anything that means anything to us.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate, we definitely want the rule change that says you have to have $100,000 to use the air.
Hi, I'd just like to say hello from Radio Mutiny in West Philadelphia. My name is Pete Treatish, and I'm part of the Radio Mutiny Collective. I just want to add, when we invited that FCC top enforcement official, he said that he wanted to dialogue about the possibilities of a licensing scheme work, but what he basically said to us was, I look forward to the day when you are all licensed low-power FM broadcasters. But in the meantime, I'm going to bust you, and I'm going to step up enforcement. It was a statement that it was just highly illogical. It just didn't make a whole lot of sense when they're saying that there is not enough diversity on the airwaves today, and the little diversity that there is, they're going to crush until they can fit it into their set of boxes.
All right.
Question: do you want to be regulated by the FCC?
Okay, this will be our last question. Maybe we can take one more. Do we wish to be regulated by the FCC?
Hell no.
Off the top, I would just say no.
Wants more government regulation?
Here's how I would respond to that. If the FCC had a licensing and regulation scheme that was very inexpensive, that had a minimal amount of bureaucracy, and left the control of the station, full control of the station, in the hands of the broadcasters of the station, we would consider applying for that license. And until we see that license, we're determined to continue broadcasting in any capacity necessary.
Woo! All right, again, if there's any press here that did not receive a press packet, please raise your hand. We're going to have to break this down because our permit is about to run out, and we're reasonably law-abiding people, but only in terms of reasonable laws. So thank you again for coming.
Thank you, Sister Shiva.
And tune your radios to 88.7 FM. We're going on the air again at 5 p.m. this evening. For mine.
And participate. Call in. Be part of this radio station. What's the phone number? What's the phone number of our radio station? We just got a press question. What's the phone number of our radio station?
Your phone number.
Our call-in line, hello, hey. Hey, hit me a mic a little bit. At 50 Avenue B, New York, 10009. We accept programming proposals, donations, and anything else you have. We also have a website that's located at www.panix.com/steal this radio. We also have a voicemail number, and it's new. And it's 358-5774. Any members of the press that want a press packet with background information, please let us know. We also accept live call-ins at Steal This Radio. And the number is, God, we've been off the air 6 weeks, I'm forgetting the number.